Good morning, evening, afternoon. Today we are playing Echoes of Lucid9 Fangame. Previously, we watched the news, and on the news we learned about the things that were happening in politics and the virus and how it's probably worse than what they say it is, and how they handled it the last time, and that is where we left off. By that time, we started giving out the first dose of immune serum to insured citizens alongside the usual mRNA vaccine. KCTN, meanwhile, was too busy selling guns, knives, and their CEOs used panties to waste their time on any actual news. That's a thing that they did? Why? Whatever, I guess it earns money. Despite the recent tactical upgrades provided to WayForward's Office of the Peace, Black Star Security remains responsible for law enforcement in District 3 and 6, including the quarantine zone in Block 307, where this virus was reported to have originated. While Black Star's track record ensures that containment will remain a serious concern, Satomi Kazahaya has assured all locally deployed WFCOP units that her company's security force are highly trained and will comply with all safety procedures appropriate for the study and treatment of the novel pathogen. Was this her? Wonderful. Sorry, I just read potassium chloride injection ruling Maine. Kazahaya, however, refused to comment on the numerous recent allegations of class discrimination and police brutality brought before her company, claiming that they had either been dismissed or settled outside of courts. As her corporation continues to ride the revenue wave provided by political ties to the Republic of Siberia's military junta unchecked, dominion over the Kazakhstan territory and the provisional military government of America's continually increasing demand for equipment to use in their war against the Grand Cartel, many believe that the chances of these allegations making it to courts will only decrease. Next up, 7G, a new dawn in wireless communication of the insidious lemniscate upselling. Our correspondent in District 5 has the scoop right after these quick messages from our sponsors. Live from WFCTN's studio in the heart of District 2, Ivan Kaede Sakamoto. and I hope to see you soon. The newscaster's face fades to black. Alongside the backdrop replaced in short order by an advertisement for a new medication. And looks like this one is for erectile dysfunction. As much as I'd like to see something like a new antidepressant being marketed to the masses, it's best to sit quietly with the knowledge that the only thing keeping marginally responsible journalism afloat is the abundance of advertisements. After all, you can't spell advertisements without semen between the tits? I guess. Okay. Good God. Could I be any more smashed than I already am? Well, you did drink quite a bit, Rui. Good thing that question isn't rhetorical. I ordered another whiskey from the bartender, consuming in less time than it looked to be poured. You alright, ma'am? I wince and look up to see Katsuragi staring at me. Preparing myself for the seemingly inevitable verbal reprimand I've had coming for the past 3 years. Instead, all I get from him is a look of confusion, concern, even. I wave my hand and look away, hoping to dismiss the issue. It's nothing. Kind of you to ask, though. With all due respect, ma'am, it doesn't look like nothing. Tone and I have been charged with ensuring your safety. Checking in with you is part of our job. Well, you're welcome to dial it down a little. I'm not going to take much away from a bit of optimism and a fucking white day card. Sorry, I shouldn't have put it like that. You're not going to offend us, ma'am. Just making sure you're not completely FUBAR. For what now? FUBAR. It is an acronym Tone and I used to use back in our army days. Stands for the English phrase effed up beyond all recognition. Oh, beyond all recovery? I thought I've never heard the recovery part. I knew about I've heard it as effed up beyond recognition. Except the people who invented it didn't say effed. Got it from the USMC. What was left of it after the cartel's mercs moved into Fresco at last. So they did spend time in the military. It's not like there was much room for doubt there to begin with, though. Unfortunately for me, making assumptions as a doctor is a great way to fucking kill someone. Bit of a shit thing to do if nobody's ordered a hit on your patient. Crazy bastards. Craziest bastards I've ever met, ma'am. Just as wise, though. Losing some of yourself on the field wasn't important to them. The only thing that mattered was staying true to what you fought for till the end. If you just kill till there's nobody left on the other team, that's no victory for anyone. But you look like you already know that, ma'am. So, all that's left for you to do now is try and win whatever battle you might be fighting. And we're here to help you accomplish that. For a second, I almost want to cry. It's a longer second than usual, though. I don't know if it's the whiskey pushing me closer to the edge or the shock of seeing someone I just met express concern for my well-being. But neither one is an excuse to dwell on a useless, disruptive emotion, especially now that it's gone. They say a soldier's work is never done. A soldier's work is never done. So, I've heard, at least, I'm no soldier. Soldier. Some would argue that we aren't either, ma'am. Unfortunately for us, that's a gigantic load of bullshit. Kid, please. Look, I'm being as professional as I can right now, but the doctor should know how we got here. And I won't lie to you. This stupid shit, it's been weighing me down for years. Tony turns to me, bowing his head to signal that he's regained his composure. I'm inclined to believe that he's making the most use of what little he has left. After all, I've been misrepresenting my mental state, for as long as I can remember. If you'll permit it, ma'am. I know it's not exactly standard procedure, but... Tony. Ignoring social conventions, there we go. Good me, all the cookies. I stand up, place a hand on Tony's shoulder. Looking at his petrified muscles and flushed face, it's clear that he wasn't expecting the gesture. Maybe it would have been less awkward if I wasn't some grizzled old dude, general with a beret. Ma'am! Listening is what they pay me for. Go ahead. Before sitting back down, Tone nods and offers a strained half smile in response. A minor expression of relief, but still one that I can understand. Grief seizes his next words before they can even be spoken. Tony begins with a recount of his experience graduating high school in 2035, a few years before Isamu became completely independent. Back then, the JDF was still around before the meritocracy negotiated for their soldiers and deployed them in the Pacific. Apparently, the only reason he signed up in the first place was because they agreed to cover his fees while he trained to be a dentist. And it wasn't all for himself either, letting his parents work overtime so he could keep attending just didn't sit right with him. Once he got certified, he started off serving a 6-year tour of duty, longer than usual, due to the fact that the University of Isamu had just raised its tuition fees for the 11th time that year. It was supposed to be a safe option. He was supposed to earn a civilian career in exchange for his service. But all he ever earned was a dagger in the back. Because of one of the first things Inori did after breaking free from the national government was send him and the thousands of other young men like him to the front lines. Not even as a specialist, just plain cannon fodder. He was told it was to help Isamu's allies in the US. Apparently, President Croft was too busy coming up with extra spicy war crime ideas to bother paying any attention to the continent south of him. Tone kept going, though. He was convinced it would be over soon. That was when he met Katsuragi and the rest of his platoon. Katsuragi was a good 7 years older than him, but he helped Tone out when he needed it. So did the other guys, since none of them agreed to set up base camp in Peru by choice. Figure that was enough in common to build a friendship on. They won some battles and lost others, but by 2039, the infantry division they served under managed to push the Grand Cartel back into central Mexico. All things considered, the only real losers of the war were the people of Peru, since we replaced the cartels dried up the lake in the center of their country so we could grow more crops and force them to fight with Ecuador and Bolivia over access to clean water. Croft died at that point under mysterious circumstances that looked suspiciously like an assassination. Coincidentally, that was 3 weeks after Limnanskate convinced the governments of Colombia and Venezuela to let them set up shop. Way Forward followed shortly after, turning 90% of the Amazon rainforest into a giant field for growing cash crops, mostly oil seeds that you would refine into synth gas. And for better too, knowing that the destruction of the world's largest rainforest was all it took to get rid of humanity's fossil fuel addiction really makes me proud to be a member of this species. And around that time, the new president of the States pulled her forces back from the glass crater they just finished turning the Arabian desert into, and they agreed to manage the rest of the fighting on their own. Some of it was out of a sense of honor. Most of it was because they knew Isamu's forces wouldn't stick around while they had bigger fish to fry. After that point, Tone goes on to mention a war on the Chinese coast, but declines to go into specifics on how everything went downhill from there. I don't pressure him any further. I'm not sure if he wants to get to know me better first, or if the information's classified. But I'd rather not drown in black ink if I can help it. A quick glance at my phone lets me know it's almost time to leave, though I promise to talk with him later before cautiously sliding the bartender a tip. Was that cautiously or... Yep, it was cautiously. I was like, was it cautiously or casually? As always, I try not to look straight at his hair. But as unnerving as he might be, the guy doesn't deserve to go broke. Before going any further into the lobby, I make sure to end things with Tone on a positive note. I might not have gotten first-hand information about his discharge, but at least I don't feel guilty about not doing my job. Hell, he's saving me the trouble of starting the conversation. Least I could do is thank him. Tone, thanks for sharing what happened. I'm assuming she's more sober now. You might have heard this shit a million times already, but I really do appreciate it. Sorry if I chose the wrong words, though. I genuinely suck at this stuff when I'm not reading it off a chart. It's fine, ma'am. I owe you one for making you sit through my damn sob story. That's the thing, Tone. All potential sobbing aside, stories are still stories. I'm not in a position to prevent you from sharing yours. Thank you, ma'am. Means a lot coming from you. Wait, from me? The last I heard, I was just some bitch with a prescription pad. She disagrees with me. Did she say that out loud? Oh, no, she didn't. Okay. She disagrees with me every time, when I tell her that she's still a good person deep down. Kosuke's back. Can I just avoid Kosuke? I turn around to see Kosuke approach with a knowing grin, still as intrusive as ever. Glad to see you're getting along. You should have seen how tough a nut she was to crack when I first met her. Speaking of nuts, your fly is open, science boy. -5 attitude. Say nothing. Salute. +5 attitude. I don't know how nice I want to be to him. Because like, what? He's kind of evil, isn't he? But I want to get stats. Stats are good, right? You need stats to do things. I kind of need him on my side to do things, don't I? Because, I mean, if there's a chance to join, like, Songbird or something else that's going to destroy Isamu, meritocracy or whatever it's called, I want to take that, so I don't know how friendly I need to be with him. I don't want to choose this one because I don't feel like being mean is going to help me in any way. Like, I can actively stab him behind the back later, but doing it right now isn't going to help me. I guess I'll salute him. Sir. I turn to the chairman and salute him, trying my best to both show respect and not be made a complete fool out of. It's good to see you again. I'm ready to move out whenever the subject is. Kosuke's attitude towards you has risen to 40. Okay. At ease, Hayata. While your display of piety is appreciated, you need not set such a stringent example here. Now, if you'll excuse me. It really was. Oh, I thought it was a joke, but his zipper really was undone. Oh, okay. Okay. Just for fun. I'm gonna save. Just for fun. What when you said of like... Speaking of nuts, your fly is open, science boy. You might want to do something about that. Kosuke's attitude towards you has dropped to 30. Okay. I thought it was a joke. I thought we was gonna like, he was gonna look down and be like, ha, I made you look, or something really dumb like that. But the fly really was down. I don't know why that's so amusing. Kosuke zips up the fly of his pants. I hesitantly remove my hand from my forehead, questioning why I even tried to show so much respect to this unkempt egghead in the first place. Right. Sorry, sir. Kosuke nods in affirmation and shifts his attention to Katsuragi and Tone. He looks unusually focused, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or if I've just landed myself head first into some really deep shit. I'll take it from here, gentlemen. You're dismissed until further notice. No, bring my goons back. Understood, sir. Bring them back. I want them back. They were my goons, my buddies. I grew attached to them in a few seconds so that I knew them. Mine. My henchmen. Not that Rue is evil, but I'm just saying that if they could just be my allies for the rest of the game, I can tell them to do stuff and they do stuff for me, that would be fantastic. So we'll see what this important thing that Kosuke was going to tell us in the next episode.